Chase in Staffordshire has long been associated with paranormal phenomena and spooky goings-on. Black-eyed children, ghosts, UFOs and Slenderman sightings, and even strange creatures said to inhabit and live under the ground. Cannock Chase is much like many other places associated with paranormal phenomena, shrouded in mystery, intrigue and its fair share of tall tales. The only thing I wanted to know is, was Cannock Chase haunted? And if so, could this be substantiated in any way?
Here I am again in the haunt of the black-eyed child, deep in Cannock Chase. This time I've got two very important people with me. One of the country's leading paranormal experts, Don Phillips, and also Steve Meara, a parapsychologist. They're going to try and find out the riddle, and they've come with open minds to see whether it is myth or whether there is really something here. Steve, you're bringing a scientific slant to this. Now, I've been stunned the way that this has grown worldwide. What's behind this? What do you think? Why is there this sudden rush in sightings, this sudden interest?
Well, of course, paranormal phenomena, the subject of it is a very interesting one, especially nowadays. You know, we have a lot of people that are interested in that type of thing, in the subject, and it does grow, and the internet does spread it very much. You know, and unfortunately, I think there are a lot of rational explanations that can come forward to explain some of the strange things that have been reported here.
And tell me, Steve, I must say, are you here to debunk, or are you coming with an open mind?
Well, I always come with an open mind and I'm objective, you know. I mean, I've been in the subject for 31 years and I have experienced the odd thing now and again, but most of the time I do find rational explanations, and I believe, you know, there's a lot of things that can be disproved at this location, so I'm certainly here to give it a stab.
Don, you've taken me out on a ghost hunt, for better words, before, and I was stunned, frankly. Tell me, this has gone global, this whole phenomenon. What do you think's behind it?
I've actually no idea, to be perfectly frank. There's a lot of reports of phenomena in this area, covering many years, with lots and lots of credible witnesses. Obviously, he called us out tonight to see if we can find something tangible to find out exactly what is going on.
My name's Mike Lockley. I'm a reporter for the Cannock Chase area and have been since 1975. In all those years I've received literally hundreds of reports about paranormal activity at this very site, Cannock Chase. There's been werewolves, there has been big cats, there's been UFOs, but now, just lately, there have been no end of calls about the black-eyed child. I'm dealing with about 50 calls a week. I decided it was time to call the experts in, and I'm here in the pitch black with Don and Steve to see if we can find out what's behind all these sightings. Don, great to see you again.
Likewise. As Mike just explained, he's called me and Steve in to see if we can actually find something tangible what's going on here. There's been an awful lot of reports, as you've already said. We are going to be here for the entire night. You are going to skive off probably in the next hour or two.
Yeah.
You joined on an investigation a few months ago.
And I was absolutely stunned by the results, really were. I went there expecting to see or hear nothing, and really the results at this pub blew me away.
Actually got more about it than I thought. I've heard voices. I know that Don would like to see more, but at the moment there are things that I can't explain that's happened here.
Let's just play that one more time.
To give me some kind of sign in some way. I would like you to give me some kind of sign in some way.
Yeah, I came here with a totally open mind. I did. And Don's right. There was a degree of scepticism. What I can say is things have happened that I can't explain.
I'm hoping for the same tonight, and what has really excited me is that Don straight away said that you felt something.
Yeah, as soon as I arrived here, well, literally got out of the car to this point, I felt a lot of energy, a lot of what I would term as spirit energy. The interesting thing is there's more outside of the cemetery than actually inside the cemetery. We've already spent several minutes down the bottom of the path and picked up some very, very, very interesting recordings, haven't we, Mike?
Absolutely, absolutely. We've already got a name. There are 2 German cemeteries here, 2 cemeteries filled with the graves of German soldiers who died in World War II. Now, I thought I detected a German accent. Don's the expert, he'll tell me more. But what I can say, it is very spooky here, very, very spooky.
It's ideal then, isn't it, Mike?
Absolutely.
Okay. We're going to crack on now. The recordings I've just mentioned that we got earlier, we will break them down, we will analyse them later. In the meantime, let's have a quick word with Steve.
UFOs, paranormal phenomena, strange creatures. I've investigated things all over this country, and tonight I'm here in Cannock Chase, where there's been a lot of paranormal disturbances reported recently in all the national papers across the country. I'm here tonight with Don Phillips, and we're going to investigate some of the local hotspots to find out what's really going on.
Right, we was just getting the car to take a couple of recordings. There was something, well, it sounded definitely like a very loud whisper, which I will actually play at some point when we finish here this evening. Exactly what was being said, I'm not actually sure. And to be honest, I can't actually say it was definitely words that I heard, but Mike agreed with me that it was a very loud whisper of sorts. Before that, more interesting is when we got in the car before we started, I heard what sounded like a male speaking, say something. And I looked at Mike and said, "Did you hear that?" And he went, "Yeah, I did." This was actually behind us in the car at the time.
Now, we heard something from the back of the vehicle, and also to the question, what do you think of Michael, the introduction of me as a journalist, there's definitely a response. Now, what was good for me was that Don didn't select an answer for me. It wasn't a case of, do you think it said such and such? I made it out myself. It's intriguing, very intriguing.
I asked a question on Mike's behalf. Do you mind me being here as a journalist? Am I okay to be here as a journalist? Then came this direct response. It was after the first hour Mike had to leave, but not before he received a going away gift from the spirit at my request.
Mike was just about to leave us, and I'll let Michael just explain what happened.
Well, that was the strangest thing yet. I said my goodbyes. Don asked if anybody wanted to say farewell, play the recording, and well, I won't spoil it for you. I'll let Don play it now. This was the results.
It's like 2 voices, that.
Yeah, that is 2 voices.
That's 2 voices.
Goodbye and good night.
Goodbye and good night, definitely.
Can I ask them a question before I go?
I'm trying to get you out of the traffic. Hang on. That is beautiful because that's 2.
Yeah. That is amazing. That's the best one.
I definitely could hear the words good night and goodbye. I mean, I'm just as perplexed as I was. Sort the words, and that doesn't happen very often. But as you can well imagine, it's a bit perplexing, and I have no explanation for it at this time.
Quite a nice little present to send you home with.
Well, I'm really am pleased with what's happened tonight. It's been a great evening. I'm sorry I've had to go. I know that you guys are here for a few hours yet, but it has added to the mysteries of this place. It really has, and made me even more concerned about coming here at night.
Right, Mike, appreciate it, and we'll see you soon. In the meantime, I think it's time that we cracked on.
He felt an energy and was drawn off the main track. I didn't know why, I didn't know where he was going, I didn't know what it involved. But what followed was very mysterious, intriguing, and extremely interesting.
Is that you whispering?
Yes, me.
into it. Whatever it is, it's here, and I just stepped straight into it. And it's off again that it's here, and it's going straight across here.
Very quickly I was surrounded by energy. The energy grew stronger and stronger the closer I got to it. I didn't know where we was going, I didn't know what, why, or what was going to happen. But I followed this trail into the woods.
We've walked quite a long way now from the actual German cemetery. We're between the two, I think. Are we not, Steve? And I could feel this to my left-hand side, and I didn't know at the time whether it was a spirit person or whatever, because the energy was really strong. But I just crossed literally off the footpath into this field, bang, and I've managed to literally follow this track, this energy down to it. If I move off it to the left, to the right, it's still there, but it dissipates quite a lot. Interestingly enough, we were just joined by some people with torches that were passing by with some dogs, and when they came through, it dissipated. I walked down to the path again, I walked back up again, and it's here now. So I want to see where this leads. There's either something going on here at this present moment in time, or there's something that's happened here at some time or other, which I don't know. We've got the conditions against us at the minute. It's very windy, but it was really, really strong. So we'll crack on now and see if this takes us somewhere quite interesting.
I've now been following this energy, this force, for about 10 minutes. We was led deeper and deeper into the woods.
I've lost it again. It's gone again. Sorry, Steve.
As we were walking down the path, Don was kind of drawn to this location here, in the middle of a field actually, of all places. But nevertheless though, he claims that he's picking up some type of strange energy. I mean, I can't feel anything myself, but Don claims there's something obviously going on here, and we've come over to this location and we're going to take some measurements. I don't know how far this sort of line goes where this energy is supposed to be, but we're checking into it. I'm going to take some measurements and see if anything comes up on the equipment.
I've got to get my stuff. I don't know where it's going to take us. We're quite interested. It's actually taking us down a walkway, Steve.
Yeah, there's a walkway. This, yeah.
It's quite interesting.
I don't know how old this path is. It could be quite an old path, actually.
No, but the thing is, we didn't know if there was a walkway from down there, did we?
No.
The further I went, the stronger it became.
Strong.
We've got a big gully here. Big gully.
Let's get out the wind. Recording, Steve.
Several minutes later, I knew we'd arrived.
Oh, this is it. This is it.
Arrived to what? I had no idea. It was dark and nothing was visible until Steve turned on his light.
Got all the flowers. Okay. We've got flowers all over the tree.
Where's my camera?
Got you here. This is it. This is it. I'm on it, Dom.
I'm alright.
Okay. Let's get some photos from the photo jacks. Now that's really interesting, that, because we've got a lot of things here.
I need a fag a minute.
Alright, just contain yourself, Dom.
What is it?
It says Mum on that one there, so, and Dad on the other one, so.
God, I feel dizzy. That could be where I've just been breathing now, though. This is what I get, Steve. It's rare when it's...
Need to what you'd record as you don't stand on there. In fact, I'll put my bag over them.
Our night vision camera picked up this sound, a sound which sounded like a male calling Norman. Have a listen, see what you think.
Jeez.
A few minutes later, I was feeling more composed and took another recording. The reply that came back was, "There's another one."
I'm of the opinion that I've been led here for a reason. We are struggling because, as I said before, it is very windy, but in between I'm just going to see if we can get recording. Tell us what's happened, give me your name or something before this wind comes back. I'm going to talk to you about this anyway in a few minutes, but please just try for me.
Although windy, the energy was still strong enough to enable Becky to be heard.
Now we've got the wind problem, haven't we? Oh. Thank you. There's another one.
There's another one.
No, but do you hear it as a voice?
Yes, I do hear it as a voice. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Do you hear this as vocals?
Very clear. There's another one.
You would say that says there's another one?
I
Yeah.
would say that that's actually there's another one.
There's another one. There's another one.
It's not just static. There are vocals in that, and I picked out the words. There's another one. Another what? I don't know. I don't know where the sound's coming from. I don't know how it's generated. I don't know. I'm absolutely puzzled with it. But I'm inquisitive to find out another one what.
Yeah, well, so we'll get out this window and we'll pursue that. Okay, Steve, brilliant. And then I've got a very significant question. I heard that. Did any of you hear a whisper beside of me then?
No.
I do have to apologise for the sound quality because we are on the camcorder sound. It is very, very windy. Once again, I've just been totally not for six. You know, it also happened further down the path. And I said to Steve at that point, you know what, out of all the investigations I've done, but in my lifetime, and all the time I spent around the spirits, that was only the sixth time that's ever happened. Little did I expect, only 5 minutes later, I would literally get knocked for six. The interesting thing about this, as we'll speak to Steve in a minute, I followed a path of something. I knew it wasn't spirit people because it was static, it wasn't moving. We followed it. In fact, you know what, I'm just going to go to Steve and let him explain it to you.
Well, that was very profound. We followed Don down a path. He said that he was following some type of energy. I don't know really what that meant. I followed it down and all of a sudden Don just deviated to the right through a ditch into the middle of a forest. I mean, you know, we're in the middle of no man's land here. And every single tree, as you can probably see, is exactly the same. In fact, I was just following Don. I don't know where we were going, and all of a sudden I saw Don. It's as if he literally collapsed. You know, he was struggling for breath. I was a little bit concerned, and then my eyes focused on this tree behind me, which was covered in flowers, as some type of memorial. It's got the words Mum and Dad on it. I don't know what it means. I don't know why it's there. It's very, very strange, and why we're in the middle of a forest, in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night, and he manages to find this location. It's just absolutely profound. I know that we didn't visit this location prior to tonight, and I've no idea.
Yeah, quite I feel quite overcome at the moment because we're in the middle of a forest. We've followed Don off track, which is off the route that leads round the forest. We've gone off track, followed him straight to a tree that's got flowers, that's got mum and dad on it. And what I find quite amazing as well is when Don's asking a question, it always seems the wind seems to pick up.
I was wondering if it was a place where somebody had been prior and maybe passed away, and so it's a kind of a commemoration to a location where somebody once had been or somebody used to come.
Because it's not an obvious location for memorial in the middle of a forest.
It's in the middle of a forest, it's difficult to see, it's away from roads.
Houses.
And houses, and in fact hardly any people really. I was through the forest. You're kind of in the middle of the forest here. The thing was made certainly a great effort to put all these things around the tree, which it says mum, dad, and with those sort of say mum and dad on it, is it two people who used to come here or somebody used to come here and maybe they passed away and this is a commemorative spot? It's a bit unusual, it's a bit out of the way, and it's extremely difficult to find.
Okay, it's been really interesting up to now, as I'm sure Steve will agree. What I've done now, we've actually come to the cemetery with the German POWs. What I'm going to do is see if I can engage with anybody that wants to speak to me. If I'm asked to leave, then I will respect that and I will leave. So let's just see how we get on. The sky is now really clear, but it's dampening down now because it is about 2-3 in the morning. Optimal for energy wise, but this time of year with everything dampening down, it has a counter effect. So but we'll see if we can get anything.
Having only been in the cemetery a couple of minutes, my first recording resulted in a response which sounds like there is a lot of us.
Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you. Okay. What's your name, please?
Having made contact with some spirits, I then took a second recording. Join with us. The interesting thing about this is it was actually heard in the air and captured on the video camera prior to playing the recorder back. Take another listen.
What's your name, please? Thank you. Steve? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No, Steve, the first recording I've just taken here, and I filmed it, was this. Not sure what it says.
Do you want to listen to this, Jack?
No, the next one's better, trust me.
Right, right. That's interesting.
It's more of a human sounding voice. It's very good, actually.
Yeah.
Can you hear that?
You
It's
can.
not. It's not in the hush, is it? Or
No,
the
it's
clicking
more of a.
It's a very
It's
low
like a distant.
vote.
It's
a
like
low-
slight. It's clear but distant.
Yeah, it is. That was brilliant. Thank you for that. I mean, I did say I was just starting to feel something, didn't I? As I walked across.
You did, yeah, and it does seem like we're getting some vocals again.
Okay. Right, we're going to crack on again now, so we're not going to be too long, but I think, as I quite often say, it's time we put all our stuff together, because we've had an extremely good night, to be honest. We haven't been investigating all night. We've sort of been on and off and walking around quite a lot, haven't we?
We have, yeah, but we did have a lot to take into consideration. That, you know, we've been watching the skies because we've seen 3 satellites. It's a clear night, because there's obviously been quite a number of UFO sightings around in this vicinity. But we've also been listening to the environment. We can hear a number of wood grousers in the background, and it's really interesting because when they actually make their kind of mating call, it sounds like pigs. You know, and it's interesting because there's been this pig man allegedly associated to the area as well. So I thought that was quite an interesting. That might be able to rationalise some events. There's some dogs, you know, been passing through during the night. Can clearly be misidentified. We saw one dog earlier. It looked a bit like a wolf, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Oh, well, I've got to say, Steve, it was walking on all fours.
It was working on all 4 fours, yeah. But you know, we've looked into all sorts of different things tonight. But most of all, we've been looking out for these alleged apparitions of these black-eyed children. And
not that we'd really expected to see one.
We didn't really expect to see anything. But
yeah, and Steve, I've got to say, when we was walking down the path from right down the bottom there, towards the second cemetery, we heard what sounded like a scream. Possibly.
Yeah, well, we heard
sounded like
something.
We heard something.
We heard something. It caught Jackie's attention first, but I also heard it at the same time, and we stopped and we both looked in the same direction to our right, into the forest, and we heard something a bit like a child's cry or a child's scream.
That's what it sounded like, Steve.
It did. I don't know, but then, you know, it was breezy, it's windy, you know, trees could be rubbing together and making unusual noise, or there could be a load of critters around, you know, or even owls, and of course the tawny owl is renowned for making certain noises, screeching.
Yeah, but from the public point of view, someone's walking down that path.
Oh yeah.
Looking, I mean, we've encountered a few people here tonight. Oh, is this the haunted place? And they're walking up and down with torches,
taking photographs. One person actually pulled me aside and said, "Could you tell me where it is?" And I said, "Yeah, it's just down there on the right." You know, so, you know, this is what happens.
No, but the thing is, Steve, what I'm saying is, if they're walking out and they heard that,
of course it would be attributed.
It would be undoubtedly a woman screaming.
Exactly. And what happens then is that a report is generated. Somebody in the media gets to hear about it. It ends up in the newspapers. People read it, and they come out here and they experience similar things. And of course, you can see how it sort of gets bigger and bigger and spirals. And this is exactly what happens in situations like this, when in fact there are probably 1,001 rational explanations.
We've had a little walk around the cemetery just for a few minutes, but we had to give up because it was so bloody windy.
It was now becoming cold and damp, and the evening's events were coming to a close. Before I left, I decided to take another walk down the lane. We didn't expect, and neither did we find, any black-eyed children, but I figured if we're going to do the job, let's do it properly. Well, you never know.
In the interest of trying everything and the reports associated with this place and the phenomena, Steve and Jackie's in the car now. I'm going for a walk down this path where this black-eyed child has supposedly been seen. So I'm on my own now. I'm walking down there. I'm just going to put the camera in front and just walk. I don't fully expect to catch a black-eyed child, although if there's one around, then I would welcome the opportunity, to be honest. I've got just one recorder with me. If I feel a strength of energy, I'm going to stop and so we can take a recording. It is still windy, but let's persevere, see how we get on. Tonight, we've had some very interesting stuff. For me, the energy, what drew me to the spot of the memorial, was extremely interesting. Well, for Steve, I mean, I find it interesting as well, but this is what I do. It was a direct route to the actual spot. I can see why people think it's spooky down here, especially on your own. walk to the end of the lane, wait a couple of minutes, and walk back. Don't expect to encounter a child, obviously, but if you're going to do something, you might as well do the full job. Mike from the journalist, the reporter. For me, one of the highlights was when I said to the guys, the spirits, can you say good night? We will check the recording, but it does sound extremely like goodbye from me, or words to that effect, goodbye something, and then somebody else after that said good night. It's very, very clear reply. We was playing them back in the wind, admittedly, so it may not have said that, but at the moment I'm pretty 95% sure that is what was being said. Of course, nothing is infallible, and we'll find out. I'm just going back now to the car, to Steve and Jackie. Unfortunately, I have to report no one-eyed or even black-eyed children or UFOs, or even a black cat at the moment.
So we encountered no black-eyed children, no werewolves, no UFOs, or even a Slender Man. But as far as Cannock Chase being haunted is concerned, of that I have no doubt.